Brighton nil, Manchester United 3, and just like that, Premier League season is over. The boys went out. They did the job that they had to do. We said yesterday they had one last job, one last game. Um, and listen, it was a slow start. First 20 minutes. After the first 20 minutes, then we started getting going. We scored three very good goals, but of course, obviously, the biggest thing for today, with everything else taken care of previously, Bruno Fernandes has broken the Premier League assist record for the most assists in one season, with 21 being above now Kevin De Bruyne and Thierry Henry, permanently going into the record books officially as the king that holds that record. And, I knew he was going to do it. He needed just one. He got just one. Bit controversial because they could have gave that goal as an own goal. I mean, it hit off the crossbar and then hit off the goalkeeper and went in. But they did give the goal to Dorgu, and good goal for Dorgu as well. Off a corner header. I thoroughly enjoyed the second goal that we scored. That goal was a team goal, and it was a nice play, one touch. Three touches, ball was in the back of the net. I like to see that type of goal a little bit more from us going forward for next season, because that to me is just beautiful, intricate play. But listen, job done. Bruno got his assist. We got 3 points. We finished the season in third. And, it's time for sort of the review of the season and giving it a rating, and looking forward to now the transfers, and this the summer window, and obviously then next season. So we're gonna get into all of that. Please make sure you're smashing the like button. Get that done, people. It's very important to the channel, to the video. So if you want to support us, do that. Get that done. And if you're new and enjoy the content, make sure you're subscribing, hitting the notification bell icon. We're on our way to 3,500. We're at 3,320. But yeah, listen. As far as the match goes, again, there wasn't really anything for us to play for, which, in terms of big implications, we were third no matter what. Champions League was guaranteed no matter what. We went out there basically to just finish off the job that Michael Carrick basically came in and started in the middle of the season. We did that, so I'm happy with that. We scored 3 goals. We kept Brighton to a clean sheet as well. They didn't score on us. Listen, you probably couldn't ask for more today. We didn't really have anything to play for. We still went out there and we did the job. Manu played very excellent. Bruno played well. A lot of the players played very good. Martinez and Maguire back there did a good job. So, it was a little bit sad that Cass didn't feature just one last time for us. But I guess he did that at Old Trafford, and we have to make peace with that. But, I didn't know that he was going to be 100% excluded from the game, from the match. It was good to see Shea Lacey out there and Tyler Fletcher as well. I did ask for some youth players to get an opportunity today, because it was basically a free hit of a match, and after we scored 2 and then we went up 3, it was definitely a free hit of a match. And it was good to see them get out there and get some minutes on the pitch. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens for them going to next season. Or either one of them going to sort of stick around to be part of the squad, or are they going to go out on loan? There's been some talk that Shea Lacey is going to go out on loan. So, we'll see how that sort of goes his way. But let's see what what's sort of the post-match reaction. Brian Mbeumo scoring that goal as well. And he needed that. I'm sure we're going to be getting breaking news as well. Live breaking news, for transfer-wise, now that the season is over. Sunderland will play in the Europa League. So there's always that. West Ham have been officially relegated from the Premier League. Matheus Fernandes to Manchester United could speed up, considering he is not going to the World Cup. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, that might be a positive for us. Tottenham are officially staying in the Premier League. I know some people were hoping that they would get relegated, but they did the job that they needed to do, and maybe this pays off for them. They got De Zerbi on sort of a long-term contract. He did a job with Brighton. Maybe he could do a job with Spurs, but for Manchester United implications, West Ham have officially been relegated, which means that there is a highly potential deal that we can do for Matheus Fernandes now that they have been relegated. So this could be a big positive for us. I know we had reports yesterday that Manchester United have been in contact with West Ham, negotiating some sort of a deal, or at least sounding out a deal, and this could potentially give us a better in on it, maybe speed it up when it comes to Matheus Fernandes. So we'll see how that one goes. I think listen, I think I like the player, and I like the fee that has been sounded out for him. So with them getting relegated, I do think it boosts our odds. So I won't be surprised if we if this sort of gets ramped up over the next week or so, and over the next coming days, because we are we've been moving for Ederson, and that looks like that can be done fairly quickly and fairly soon. And now that Matheus Fernandes and West Ham have gotten relegated, that one might speed up as well, and we could have 2 signings and 2 out of the 3 players in the midfield tied up very quickly. So I'm sure we're going to get some more news as we are live. We just got one that this is pertaining to Tchouaméni here. Saying that Tchouaméni is Manchester United's dream midfield target. I don't know about that, but we'll see. We will see. But I'm happy for Bruno Fernandes. I'm happy that he got his, assist record. It's well deserved. He's been an exceptional player for us ever since he signed. He's one of the best midfielders in the world. At the current moment. He's given us he's given us a lot of input, and ultimately I'm happy we didn't sell him, because it's paid off. So, at one point I was willing to take the 100 million for him, because I felt like it would be beneficial to the greater good of the squad rebuild, but we didn't take up that option. And I'm happy we didn't take up that option, because, it didn't work out well for Ruben. But Ruben had, some of his own mistakes that led to his demise, as well as, the fact that we didn't have enough money and pull and power to get more changes without selling Bruno Fernandes. But, Bruno's here now, and Carrick's here now, and we're moving forward together. And so we're in a good spot. We're in a good place. Our captain has done a fantastic job. And I'm really happy with him and how the team's developed. Over the past couple of years, we used to say, like, we are basically sort of a one-man team. If Bruno doesn't play well, we don't play well. If Bruno doesn't score, we can't win matches. But this season has sort of flipped it around. I think he's scored 9 goals, and he has 21 assists. So he's done a lot more assisting than he's done in previous seasons. And I've talked about how you could kind of tell. You can tell with the relationship he has with Cunha and even Sesko and Embuemo. These three players that are basically up there with him in the attack. He has a better bond with them. He trusts them more. He believes in them more for sure. And I think that's why you've seen him get, a decent amount, 21 assists, more assists this season and less goals. Obviously, a lot of them, came from set pieces. Casemiro had a big part to play in that as well. He scored a few of them throughout the season. But, yeah, I think, he's been entrusting these attacking players a lot more than he's done so over the past couple seasons. So it was good to see Dorgu get a start out there. It does seem like, listen, since Dorgu's been back, it does seem like the answer is basically, they're telling us that they plan, at least right now. Again, we still don't know 100%, but it does seem like they want to use Dorgu as a winger. And it does seem like that's sort of heading in that direction. So, I am leaning towards the focus is going to be probably a little bit more on a left back than a winger. If there is room to do a winger, maybe they still do one in the summer. But, there's still an element of, listen, we don't have an extra winger, so we're still using Dorgu there for the time being. So, I mean, they could still sway that path one way or another. But I don't know. I kind of like Dorgu there. I do think he has probably a better impact in the game. He does seem a bit more comfortable playing further up the pitch than he did when he was playing left back. In some defensive situations, he seems a lot more comfortable in the winger position. So, I think, it's something that he could be looking that could be permanent, that he's going to stay there. But it's one that I think is still a little bit up in the air, because we get reports that we're still in for a left winger, but we're also looking to do a left back. So it's a little bit confusing, because, I mean, if we do both, well, where's Dorgu actually end up? How many wingers do we actually need? What is the plan? Because we do have Cunha, we have Diallo, we have Embuemo, and then there is potentially, maybe room for Shea Lacey for next season, considering we're going to be playing a lot more matches. He might go out on loan, but he could also stay. No decision has been made on that front. And then you have Dorgu. And that kind of gives us, at the very least right now, it gives us two players on each side, on each wing. And if you sign another winger, that gives us 5 in total, potentially 6. So, I don't know how we really move about that. What is the plan for that? But I guess we'll find out at some point, going forward. I think he is, Bruno is one of the greatest. He's been one of the greatest creators in the history of the Premier League. He's been phenomenal. There is no better player than him right now, in certainly in the Premier League, for sure. He apparently has a 80% chance to win PFA Player of the Year. I think he does deserve it, because he's been phenomenal. And especially you're talking about, he's done this in a team that we finished 15th last season, and we haven't won anything. We're not a winning team, and yet he still was able to accomplish, what he's accomplished. So I think that adds a little bit more, in that our team is not good enough to actually win, the biggest titles, and has still been able to perform the way he's done throughout the season. So I think he's carrying a little bit more weight than if you were to do it in a team that, let's just say, I don't know, they win the league and they're in a Champions League final. So Lyle's here, says, hey, Eric and all you Reds, Bruno. We had some class goals today. We did. I enjoyed them, and, I was happy um, with the results, with the performance. We were a little bit slow to get out of the gates. The first 20 minutes, we were a little bit slow. But after that, we got up to par. We got up to speed. And we really took over the match. And, at one point, I thought we were going to hit them for at least 4 because they started to, Brighton really started to crumble and collapse. And for a team like Brighton that had, implications to play for, I mean, they were poor after that 20 minutes. And we really took control of that game. And we made it count. And, one of the big things that Michael Carrick has been able to implement since he's coming in, and I was thinking about this throughout the match. I was kind of thinking back to the beginning of the season, and then since Carrick's come in, and I think one of my biggest complaints, or one of my biggest worries that I kept saying while Ruben Amorim was here was that we weren't finishing our dinner, we weren't clinical. We would have chances. Under Ruben, when we were playing matches, we would have most of the time, we would create chances, but we weren't scoring goals. And I think, I remember saying, he's got to get them to figure out how to get the ball into the back of the net so we can get points, so we can win matches and he can stay. And obviously he ended up getting sacked, but Carrick coming in, he was able to sort of answer that, right from the very first game. Listen, we played a lot of matches. We weren't perfect, okay? We weren't always the totally dominating team, but Carrick did come in and do what I said that Ruben needed to get done, which was you don't always have to play perfect. You don't always have to be you don't always have to put in 100% performance, but the most important thing for those circumstances is to finish your chances and then put the ball into the back of the net so you get 3 points. And teams that win the Premier League do that. They don't always play great. They don't always deserve to win the match, but they score a goal and they win the match 1-0. And they do that a few times throughout the season. Or they haven't played great and it's tied up and they find a winning goal, and those points add up over a season. And I think Michael Carrick came in and he was able to answer that. We've scored better and more, and we were consistent in that as well. I think that was key as well. Carrick bringing a consistency to the team. And we've kept it up right to the very end. And for me, that's very encouraging. It's very encouraging. He's been able to keep this team very consistent. He's been able to keep that feeling. We didn't have that under Ruben. I think one of the things, reflecting on the season, I think one of the biggest differences that I've seen since Michael Carrick's come in, I think, Ruben's got to take some responsibility for this, because I think he sort of fell into the rabbit hole a bit himself. I guess maybe it's who he is as a person or a manager. But, at some point, I think Ruben got very... everybody knows he was an emotional guy. I think he took the way the previous season went very hard, and I think he was in a place where it was sort of very dark for him. I do remember there was a few times that he came out, the way he was speaking about the team, the way he was saying things publicly. I admired him for his honesty, but at some point it got to a point where I think it was a bit demoralizing to the players. Because it was always this sense of, oh, we're not good enough. And I think at some point that really did affect the players, in a certain way, whereas Carrick came in and sort of flipped it around and made them believe that they were good enough. And then they started performing like they were good enough. and Carrick just came in with more positivity. And I think that was a big factor in the shifting. You know, Carrick came in with a fresh idea, a fresh start, a fresh perspective. He probably came in with the United way under Ferguson as well, in that mentality. And I think that was probably a big changing factor as well. I think Ruben, because he took it so hard because of what happened basically in his first season since he came in, I think I think he was disillusioned, and I think that's unfortunately spilled over to the players. So Carrick came in and fixed that right up, and you know, these guys, they didn't stop. I mean, you know, they did it against Arsenal, they did it against City, and they just kept going, scoring goals and getting 3 points. You know, there was some games we didn't play that great, but we still got the job done. So, we slayed our bogey team this season. Yeah, a lot of them actually. You know, not just Brighton. You know, we beat Liverpool at Anfield. It was something we hadn't done for a long time. We beat Arsenal at the Emirates, and they hadn't lost at the Emirates for a while, and we did that. We did the double over Liverpool as well. We beat Chelsea, and we didn't have the greatest record in recent time against Chelsea at the Bridge, and we beat them. We did a lot of things this season that we haven't done you know, in recent years. So, you know, on that's all positive stuff, and ultimately, you know, to finish third, which we all thought was you know, basically nearly impossible before the season started. You know, it was a great achievement. To listen, it's not winning the Premier League, and obviously that's where we want to get to and where we want to go. But to go from 15th, sack the manager in the middle of the season, bring in Michael Carrick, who, for the most part, was pretty unproven, and you know, before a ball was kicked, before he took charge, it could have really went either way. I mean, it was a bit unknown. And for him to come in and do what he did, and to finish third and to get Champions League football, you know, it's been a really good season. You know, I don't think it could have. It basically almost couldn't have gone better. The only parts that could have gone better was not getting knocked out of the FA Cup when we did. And obviously, you know, maybe winning that or going to the final at the very least, or going further, and obviously not losing in the Carabao Cup when we did in the first round and losing to Grimsby. But other than that, and to, you know, when it pertains to the league, it couldn't have gone really any better for us. I know some people would be like, well, if we sacked Ruben earlier and we got in Carrick, we could have actually won it. I still don't know about that. You have to remember there was periods throughout the earlier part of the season that Ruben did have to deal with, whether you like him or not. We had players out for AFCON. We had an injury crisis. Bruno wasn't there, and we lost a couple players, and the squad was quite thin. So I don't know, you know, how many points Carrick would have been able to get out of that, and how he would have navigated that. But you know, it is what it is. We don't have to worry about West Ham next season. So glad we don't get to visit the London Stadium at least for one season. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, I think the biggest thing, you know, for us is Mateus Fernandes now. So, you know, there is a silver lining in there to a certain degree. By the way, Dorgu has 3 goals in his last 3 starts for Manchester United. And that is playing at left wing. So, you know, I think the Nottingham Forest manager has once again spoken on Elliot Anderson here, saying he's our player and I'm very happy with him. The market is the market. I cannot predict the market. I know we want to keep the same players to bring 2 or 3 players to help us balance the squad. In the end, we'll see. Yeah, very standard response. Again, I mean, Vitor Pereira could say whatever he wants. We all know he's not really the guy that's in charge of that decision. We also pretty much know Nottingham Forest isn't going to keep him. He will be going. And obviously, the owner of Nottingham Forest will be the one that has the final say, as we know how he is, and how he's dealt with situations with managers. So, obviously, Vitor Pereira is going to say that he's a really important player. They would obviously like to keep him, but they're not going to keep him, are they? They're not going to keep them, are they? So, it's a fairly PR regular response. I mean, what else is he going to say? But we all know that the decision is definitely 100% out of his hands, and it's all about one, Elliot Anderson, who obviously wants a move, and then obviously Nottingham Forest owner. So Spurs celebrating safety is hilarious. Well, that's what they do best. Culture Spot says, today we remember Ruben, who turned Patrick Dorgu into such a fantastic wingback. I was kind of hoping that Liverpool would drop down into 6th, but that didn't happen. So, Dorgu on his goal. We worked on that in training yesterday. I knew Bruno was going to put the ball there. Listen, that's another thing. I'll say this as well. Like, we've improved massively on set pieces, corners, but set pieces in general. And, we had Ruben's guy doing the set pieces, but he left with Ruben, and Johnny Evans has taken it over. And you know what? Say what you want. He's not qualified for the job, whatever it is. We should get somebody better with more experience or whatever it is. But listen, we've carried that right on, and we've continued to score. If not, you could maybe make an argument that we've even improved on top of that, because we continue to score from tons of set pieces. And we're really dangerous. And, this is a positive impact as well. I think back to 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, the Manchester United teams that we used to watch, and we were absolutely horrible at set pieces. I'm pretty sure at one point we had a record where we didn't score from a corner kick for months and months. That's how bad we were at it. And now we're scoring goals from it, and we're benefiting from it because we're getting points and we're winning games from that aspect. So listen, our team there's a lot of bright spots at our club right now. There's a lot of bright spots in Manchester United. There's a lot of positivity that we can roll with going into next season, and there's some areas that are still a bit cloudy, and we gotta fix up and make sure that we strengthen that. But I do see the progression of this team as it is right now to, I don't know, think about us 3 or 4 years ago. We have come a decently long way in certain areas. There's still a lot of room for improvement. Okay, I would like for next season, I think one of the things that I think we need to see, and I think Carrick wants it, because I think it goes into Carrick's way of playing, is that we're going to need to figure out how to get more control of the ball throughout the matches and dominate the match in possession a little bit more. Because Carrick's football, supposedly, the way I mean, at least how he played at Middlesbrough, it's a possession / counter attack. He would like to have more possession and control more of the game when we have the ball. When we lose the ball and we win it back, we then counter attack. So it's a bit of a hybrid. But we've been more counter attack than possession so far under his reign. And I think that's because, as we've been saying for a bit of time, we do struggle trying to play possession, and we need better players. And we struggle to do it under Ruben, and we struggle to do it under Ten Hag. And I would, we would struggle to do it under Carrick because we don't have the personnel. We need better personnel that can do those types of things. So Axe is here. Ray is here. Says 3 beautiful goals today. Yes, they were very beautiful, and they did what they had to do. So Axis Bruno carried us on his back. People who argued for him to stay at the club were always right. They need more credit now. Where are the critics to blame all on Bruno now? Probably hiding. Probably trying to bury it. I mean, listen, I'm open about it. I'm not going to hide from it. I said that we should sell him for 100 million. I don't take that back at all. And I always said, for me personally, I can't speak for the other people, but for me personally, I stood by that. I still stand by it. But he stayed, and he's here. So it was never anything that I never said Bruno was the problem or anything like that. I just thought it could be quite beneficial for the team if we took the 100 million. But he's here, and he did exceptionally well. Player of the season for sure. And we have our captain, and he's got to stay. He is staying, by the way. I mean, he already made a statement. So I don't think anybody's got to worry about him potentially leaving, because I know there was a little bit of that going on throughout the season. But he made a statement, I think, before the match. And he's basically all but confirmed. I mean, he said we'll carry on next season with each other. So he's not going that. You said sell him when it was a good deal. However, never blamed him. Blamed all on him. No, I mean, listen, I never blamed him. I never thought he was a problem at all. I always rated him. He's one of my favorite players. I just, I was just trying to look out for what I thought could benefit the club as a whole, or at least the team. Considering that we were in sort of a bit of a shitty situation, and I felt like we needed to get as many players as possible. But I mean, I didn't really want to be in that position. I would have liked to not be in that position that we were in at that point. I would have liked for us to win the Europa League, be in Europe, have a little bit more money, and not have to sell Bruno Fernandes, because I would always say keep Bruno Fernandes. But sometimes you get into a situation and you got to make sort of a tough call. And I just felt like 100 million at that time was a lot of money, and I was like, we could use that to get in a couple extra players, which I did feel like we needed to get in as many players to make the change for the system, for that manager to transform the team. But life is funny and things work out in different ways, so he stayed, he didn't go. I still think it went further than that as well, though. Ruben could have not played Bruno where he played him. He could have played Mano, and he could have played Bruno in one of the 10 spots, and he could have had, either Cunha or Mbuemo not starting and have Bruno starting up there with one of them. And maybe it would have played out differently, but, he didn't do that. He chose his thing. He died on his sword, and he got sacked, and then, we got Carrick, and it went a different way. So, I mean, we don't have to forget this season. I'm okay with this season. Next season will be won or lost during the transfer window. Well, yes, I do think so. It'll play a big role. It'll play a big role for sure. I don't think it's 100% lost or won because just in the transfer window, because there's a lot of things that are going to happen in the midst of next season. Carrick as manager and the coaching staff, they're going to have to get calls right. They're going to have to manage rotations and stuff like that. So, a big chunk of it is what's going to be done in this transfer window. But, I sort of broke it down yesterday. Right now, the Carrick and the lads, their time, is up for right now. It's time for them to take a break. Now it's time for INOS to sort of step onto the pitch and make things happen. Because the players have done it, and Carrick has done it. Okay? They did their jobs. They made it happen on the pitch with the ball in their feet. And now it's time for INOS to step onto the pitch and do their job. Even like Ruben said at one point, I do my job, you do your job. But that still holds true in this circumstance. Carrick's done his job. The players have done their job. Now you do your job. So let's see what they got. Let's see what they do. And then, obviously, after that, it switches back to Carrick and the lads once the season starts and the ball starts going on the pitch. Mateus Fernandez, I want you now. £58 million. We could get him for way less than that. Don't really care about Manchester United game today. What happened? I mean, listen, I still care. I think it was still decently good performance. We scored 3 nice goals. I take it as a positive. We didn't really have anything to play for. We still went away from home against a team, Brighton, who gives us a lot of trouble. Brighton, we're fighting for a spot. And we beat them 3-0. And we didn't even really need to do that. We could have just went there in 3rd, 4th gear and just sort of cruised and been like, yeah, whatever. And we didn't do that. So I think it's a positive. I'm happy to finish the season on a win. And I think it's a positive that they kept the momentum and they kept the same sort of mentality and attitude going into this match that didn't really matter for our team. The only thing that was an implication was basically Bruno breaking the assist record. Sanchez here says, what's up, big up, what's up, brother, how are you? Yesterday, I won the EPL and the UCL and the FA Cup as United manager FM26 while you were streaming. I won EPL 12 consecutive times. I'm a genius of football management. You must trust me, people. No, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I know what you do, Axe. I know what you do. You save before every match, and then if you lose, you close out the game and then restart it until you win. I know what you're doing. You can't sneak it past me. I don't know what's happening here, but anyway. Very weird. Oh my god. Okay, let's see what kind of news we're getting. Bruno Fernandes on Michael Carrick's appointment as permanent boss. He's had this to say. Obviously, it is a very important step for our club. We need stability in terms of managing, and since Michael came to the club, you know how calm he is, and the calmness he gives to the team, but also in the moments he needs to put pressure on us, he does too. He knows the club, what it means, and what it demands to be at this club. We are very excited for what is coming. We finished strong, and that's a good sign for what is coming. So again, Bruno sort of just, reading between the lines a little bit there, sort of doubling down, confirming that, do not worry. I'm not leaving. I'll be here next season, moving again. We're back in the Champions League. Happy with Michael Carrick. We're happy with Michael Carrick. We're feeling positive with what he's done. And we're here together going into next season. So, yeah. But I'm glad we don't have to do this sort of saga thing. I mean, listen, something might pop up during the summer transfer window. I wouldn't be surprised if a Saudi club tries to put in, another offer for him. But that could pop up, but I'm glad that it's not going to be a saga. Like we know Bruno doesn't want to leave. United have made it very clear very early this time to avoid any confusion between Bruno and the club that they don't want to sell him, that they want him to stay here. They've made that abundantly clear through the reports that we've received early on. So, I mean, could get minorly controversial in terms of, some Saudi club coming in and offering, they'll go. I would say at this point, after the season he's had, if they're going to make an offer, they're going to offer above 100 million now, because of the season he's just had, and basically the unwillingness of us to leave. But I don't think that will materialize to anything anyway. So, Chelsea have finished in 10th, by the way, so we could all laugh at Chelsea. Club World Cup champions, my ass. Means absolutely nothing. Carrick was asked on whether he's confident that Bruno Fernandes will stay this summer, and he said, "I've got no reason to think otherwise." So there you go. You got one quote from the player himself and one quote from our manager. Carrick was also asked on his contract extension. He said, "It hasn't been a big moment this week for us. Keep pushing and keep working. There's work to do. We'll keep improving." I like it. He's right. You can't take your foot off the pedal now. There's no time for Carrick to be, and I don't think he's doing this, but there's really no time for Carrick to sort of be, and I'm not accusing him that he would do such a thing, but there's no time for Carrick to sort of be living in the fantasy la la land right now. There's no time for him to be in awe and kind of sit there and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is actually happening." Like there is work to do, and the time to sort of soak that all in is, in my opinion, when it ends. There's no time to really reflect on this. There's a lot of work still left to be done. We have higher ambitions, and goals for next season. So, there's no time to sort of be dallying about, "Oh my God, I'm the Manchester United manager and this is amazing." You got to be gassed down, which he seems to be. So, please report the most important news. My boy is in the England. I mean, that's not the most important news. Mateus Fernandes tomorrow. Get the details done. Arsenal sniffing around 58 million. You think he's gonna go for that much? I don't even think he'll go for that much now that they got relegated. I think you could probably get Mateus Fernandes for £40 million. Bruno Fernandes' new contract, we can do it. Well, they might do so, but I don't know. Eric, we win nothing. Manchester United failed at club past 13 years. I mean, yes. But in terms of the players and the manager himself, again, for me, we finished 15th last season. We sacked the manager in the middle of the season again. We hired a guy that was a champion for us, but if we're being honest and not biased, he was quite unproven in a managerial position. He did well at Middlesbrough, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. It could have went either way, and he got us into third, a position where before we kicked the ball, we said is basically impossible for us to do. Many people said it would be hard to do 5th and 6th. So for me, it is a bit of an achievement that we did this. It's not, anything like special, but I think it's gone as good as it possibly could have gone in the Premier League for this season. And then obviously next season, it's a different animal. different story going forward. We got the Champions League now. And it is now INOS' time. You know, the last match has been played, and it's time for the hierarchy, like I said before, to step onto the pitch. It's their time to get things done. Ben Jacobs here with breaking news. Okay. Edison has verbally agreed a 5-year contract at Manchester United while club-to-club talks are advancing. Manchester United also keen on Mateus Fernandes and Tuchemeni, both names high in their thinking. Elliot Anderson remains the dream target, yet Manchester City optimistic of agreeing terms with Nottingham Forest midfielder Sandro Tonali. Cost would need to drop for Manchester United to move him up their list, while Carlos Baleba and Alex Scott are other options. However, Bournemouth are in a strong position with Europe to agree a new deal with Scott. João Gomez not on the list currently, despite being considered in January. Wolves midfielder expected to complete a move to Atletico Madrid in the coming days, as revealed on Talk Sport. Manchester United will sign at least 2 midfielders. That is just came out from Ben Jacobs. Simon Stone also saying that there is concrete interest from Manchester United and Ederson. Talks have taken place and a transfer is not being ruled out. That was 10 minutes ago. Simon Stone also saying that Manchester United will step up their efforts to sign Mateus Fernandes. West Ham's relegation opens up a possibility of signing him at a lower price, which is what we all expect. So, Premier League is in a sort of transitional period. A lot of things are changing. Carrick did brilliantly, but the bad form of other teams helped us a lot. Same for Arsenal. Now we need to grow. I mean, yes, things are changing. I would argue, listen, it's every season is situational. So, bad form from other teams helped us, but as far as it is right now, that's what they are. You know, that's their current level, their current form. So, you know, they could get better, they could stay the same, they could get worse next season. You know, it's we can't really be looking at that. We have to just be looking at ourselves. And so, like you said, you know, we need to grow. I mean, that's the only thing for us to do. Because, you know, some people will argue, well, Liverpool wasn't as good as they were supposed to be, but maybe they are as good as they're supposed to be, because maybe it just is what it is. And, you know, people had high expectations, but maybe they are just what they are. You know, and a couple other teams, like, you know, people had Chelsea in the top 4. They just they are what they are. You know, so we all played in the same season. We all played the same teams throughout the season, and we were better than, you know, 20 something other teams. That's it. And you know, next season will be a different one. And it's all about, you know, what you do in next season. We take care of ourselves. We don't have to worry about other teams. So we just got to go out, win our matches, perform as good as we can, and we'll be fine. Next season doesn't matter what everybody else does. To a certain extent. Guardiola leaving. Hopefully the Rats are leaving that sinking ship as the 114 charges will come into effect. Well, I don't know. I know obviously Guardiola is leaving, but I don't know, you know. I don't really know what's actually going to happen in that. I don't know what's happening, but YouTube is being weird. Ray says I was very critical of Bruno under Ruben, but seeing we got the 3 in front, he is playing more like a maestro than trying to score. Yeah, you know, that's for me has been one of the biggest changes in Bruno. I think it's quite clear to see, and I think, somewhere you got to give credit to somebody because the team has transformed to a certain degree. I think it has to come with a little bit of INOS because they've signed certain players and a certain amount of players now, and the team is different. The team is different. The team is different than it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. You go through the different iterations of squads we had. It is a different feeling of a team. They have a different attitude about them. There's a different type of personality as a core group. They've put this together. They signed these players, so they have to get a bit of credit for that because I think the culture has changed inside. They've made some decisions on getting rid of players and bringing in players, and I think it goes with Bruno. Like I always said, I remember watching many matches, and Bruno was doing a lot of extra, always doing too much because he felt like it was his responsibility as the captain to get something done. He wants to win. And I think the feeling that I get from when I see him now compared to previously was that the relationship between the players we had wasn't a very good one. They didn't trust each other 100%. I don't think they rated each other 100%. And Bruno used to get very tunnel vision, but I think with the chemistry that you see that he has with Mbeumo and Cunha and Sesko, compared to the Rashfords, Hoyland, and whoever else was out there, Anthony or whatever, or Sancho, it's totally different. He trusts and rates Mbeumo. He trusts and rates Cunha. He trusts and rates Sesko. So when you have that trust and belief in those guys, he's going to lay the ball off more. He's going to be more of a creator. He's going to give them the ball a lot more. He doesn't feel like he needs to do everything to try and get 3 points because he can't rely on his teammates. And I think that's been a huge differentiating factor. There was many periods, Solskjaer, Ten Hag, even Ruben at some point, we were very one-man teamish. Bruno had to score. He had to get the assists. Bruno had to take like 5, 6 shots a game because we couldn't score a goal and we needed to get 3 points or we needed to win the match or we were down 1-0. And there was players on the pitch not getting it done. And at some point he just says, fuck it. Like, I keep giving these guys the ball. Nobody's doing anything. I'm the captain. I need to step up and try and make something happen. Now he's just like, he's got a little bit more freedom in that he's like, I give the ball to Mbeumo. He can score. I'll give it to Cunha. He can score. Sesko can score. These guys have skill. They have ability. They can get the job done. I give it to Ahmad. So yeah, I think that's massively changed the team. Liverpool is down, City's down, Chelsea's down, Villa is whack, etc. Arsenal simply was the most stable team, nothing more. We need to express our glory once again. Well, yeah, they are down, yeah. But that's what I've been arguing to you anyway. We need stability. You say we need to express our glory once again. I agree, But when you make a statement like that, I always just kind of feel like you're jumping like 3 steps ahead. You're skipping like 2-3 steps in between. I agree. We need to express our glory once again. But first, let's do the other bit that you said, and let's be one of the most stable teams. We need to be stable before we can really express our glory once again. We can't express our glory once again if we ain't a stable club and a stable team. So, and doing this in this one season, that's not stability. Because we haven't had the stability behind us before. We finished 8th, we finished 15th. Now we're finished 3rd. So the stability has to come over the next 2 seasons. We need to have a good season next season, and we got to do it again the season after that. We'll have 3 seasons in a row where we are stable, and that gives us the launching pad to then, as you say in your quotes, express our glory once again. I mean, and just on Bruno, because Axe is saying Amorim affected everyone and everything. Well, I think that obviously the biggest thing is we were all in agreement, whether we were Ruben in or Ruben out. We were all in agreement. We didn't like Bruno playing where he was playing, so that was obviously on Ruben because he chose to do such a thing. But we were all in agreement after some time. Bruno's best position is where he's currently playing, which is behind the striker in the number 10. So, yes, I see that. Advertisement splits the screen into 2, but I cannot hear you during the ads. I see that. It's interesting that they're doing that. But, yeah, I kind of like that, actually. Lucky says, we will do our job now. Michael Carrick and your staff get in targets. Ederson, Mateus Fernandez sells Xerxes, 31.2 million. Well, I'll tell you this, 110% Ugarte is absolutely finished, right? I don't think there's any doubts about it. Because he didn't even feature. So, you're talking about Cass wasn't in the squad, all right? Casemiro wasn't in the team at all. You had Mason Mount starting in the midfield next to Kobe Mainu. And, you had Tyler Fletcher coming on. We were in a match that didn't matter, really. It didn't matter furthermore after we went up 3-0, and he didn't get on the pitch. So, Xerxes touched the pitch at least. So if I'm looking at it like that, I'm saying, well, there might be like maybe a 10-15% chance, 20% chance that Xerxes could stay. But I think there's literally 0% chance that Ugarte stays. I think he's definitely not wanted. Michael Carrick definitely 110% does not rate him. I was kind of thinking about it like his situation is worse than Kobe's. Nobody talks about it because most people don't like Ugarte and they want him sold. But, like people were saying that Ruben doesn't rate Mainu. Well, Carrick definitely doesn't rate Ugarte. He doesn't rate Ugarte more than Ruben didn't rate Kobe. Because at least Kobe was coming on at some point and getting minutes. I mean, Ugarte not even getting 5 minutes for the longest time. So, to be honest, I always report and block the ads I get. Well, you do that for nothing because you're going to get ads regardless. So, I mean, the only way you don't get ads is pay for YouTube Premium. But you're reporting and blocking the ads for no reason. Because they're going to give you ads regardless. But whatever. My father is disgraced by Xerxes. He doesn't rate him at all. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't have to be disgraced by him. I mean, again, like I said for Xerxes, I don't think he just doesn't. He's just not what we need. He doesn't fit into where we're going and what we're doing. He was bought for Eric Ten Hag. We were playing a different kind of system in a different way. It's 2 managers later. So things have changed very quickly since the time we bring him in. And I just don't think he fits the path that we are now on. I don't rate him as a striker. I never rated him as a striker. I've been saying that for forever. I think he could probably do a decent job in a 10 in holding up the ball, laying it off and stuff, but he's never going to be able to, he's never going to get that. And really, in the squad, what we need a second striker. And that's where he would probably fit, because that's where he technically is playing. I mean, there's no Sesko. He didn't start the match today. And there's no Sesko. But he came on and played in the striker position when he came on. But he's never going to get in as a 10, so there's no space for him there. And I don't think he qualifies as a second striker. So I don't see how he actually fits into this team. I think, again, he's probably another player, maybe like Scott McTominay or even, Rasmus. Like, you leave Manchester United, go to Italy. The Italy game will suit him perfectly. I mean, that's where he was playing originally, but it'll suit him perfectly. And I think he could go to an Italian team and do fine. He'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, but here's the thing, Axe. Marcus Rashford does not want to come back to Manchester United. So that's never happening. I wouldn't take him back, but he doesn't want to come back. So that's quite clear. The hierarchy don't want him, and he doesn't like the hierarchy. So he's not going to come back. I mean, he literally just did a statement for winning La Liga or getting back into or getting called up for the World Cup squad, and he thanked everybody besides Manchester United. So I don't think it's an indictment against Manchester United. I don't think he hates Manchester United. I just think that he doesn't like the hierarchy. So there's no chance of him coming back at all. He's not going to come back to be under a regime that he doesn't like and that they don't like him. So that's... Bro, you did not talk to him. Management staff, glad you told us what sort of Premier League Championship players, details, contact. Same thing can be said about our new CM. Is he ready for EPL? All right, let's look to see what other news we got so far. Anything else interesting breaking news? Most goals and assists for Manchester United in the Premier League. Wayne Rooney. This is goals plus assists. Wayne Rooney has 276. Ryan Giggs has 271. Paul Scholes with 162. Bruno Fernandes with 143. And Sir David Beckham with 142. So Bruno up there in the top 5 with the very best of our team. And obviously he's got more left in him. So, he could probably end up, by the time it's over, end up passing Paul Scholes. He won't reach Ryan Giggs and Wayne Rooney. Not with the amount of time left probably in his career. Because he's over 100 goals and assists plus 100 goals assists away from Giggs and Rooney. So But he'll definitely probably go past Paul Scholes. He's got what? About 19. He needs 19 goals plus assists to go past to tie Paul Scholes. So I think he'll eventually go past Paul Scholes. Renoso's here. What's up, boys? What else we got going on here? Ben Jacobs saying Sandro Tonali cost would need to drop for Manchester United to move up. What colors Baleba and Alex Scott are other options. However, Bournemouth are in the strong position with Europe to agree a new deal. They are saying right now that West Ham must raise £150 million in player sales this summer. So that's sort of another positive thing here with the pertaining to Mateus Fernandes. Okay. It is probably a fire sale is going to happen. So again, I think, listen, as it stands right now, we're looking at getting Ederson in for about 35 million pounds. And I think with West Ham getting relegated, I think Mateus Fernandes, you can get him for 40 million pounds at this point. I would be surprised if we pay 50 plus as it currently stands. So, I mean, listen, a player like that at that age with that potential and room to grow, if we could get him for 40, I think we've started off very good with two very good deals in terms of player quality plus price that we're paying for. And then we need to sort out the big third one. Who do we need from West Ham? Mateus Fernandes. Renoso says, saw most of the first half, but had a game at 9 a.m. I'll watch the replay when I get home. You should do so. Yeah, first half was all right. The first 20 minutes wasn't great, but, you know, we sorted ourselves out after that. Stop asking who and why, bro. The Google is your friend, my friend. Mateus Fernandes, he is a center midfielder. He is literally one of our targets that we are looking to get. West Ham have been relegated. They probably would have sold him for 50 to 60 million. They have not been relegated, so now we could probably get him for cheaper. He is potentially can be the second signing out of the 3 signings for the midfield. But yeah, it looks like the Ederson one is going to be done very soon. I'm saying in within a week. I give it no more than a week. I think Ederson will be announced. I think we'll get a here we go, you know, sometime this week, because the 5-year contract has been agreed verbally with the club, and United are negotiating with Atalanta, and that deal is pretty straightforward. There's not much, you know, the price is pretty set. It's probably minor details and, you know, basically bonuses or stuff like that. So I don't expect that to take long at all in any way. Lucky says West Ham are officially relegated. Some players looking to leave now. One name is on Mateus Fernandes. Well, we know he's gonna go. With these updates that we got, obviously the biggest one here for me is this update right here. West Ham is a West Ham correspondent who works at the Athletic, saying West Ham must raise 150 million pounds in player sales this summer. So Tyrell Malacia is gone officially, by the way. Manchester United posting that on their official account, saying all the best, all the very best to Ty. That was his last ever appearance as a Manchester United player, officially. So, listen, we wish him all the best. That had to happen. It didn't go great for him, unfortunately, but yeah, he's definitely got to go. He's definitely got to go. United's official record under Michael Carrick, now that it's come to a close, 17 games. We won 12, we've drawn 3, and we lost 2. We also got another update coming from Sean Connolly, who is a broadcast journalist and editor for the Theatre of Red and works for Observer UK and Red News Weekly podcast with Theatre of Red. Okay, he's come out with an update saying, expect negotiations for Matheus Fernandes to accelerate following West Ham's relegation. The player is keen on a move to Manchester United, and the club are eager to get business done early in the window. So I'm really hoping this happens. I'm really hoping this happens. I would love nothing more. Listen, if we sign Ederson and we sign Matheus Fernandes and we get these two guys in before the World Cup even starts, best possible start of a scenario for the window. And it's going to be good for everybody. I mean, people will be happy that we've signed 2 signings. Some people think Ederson is mid, whatever, but they could be grumpy about it. But people will be happy with the speed. It'll bring a nice positive feeling to go on top of, back in Champions League and finishing 3rd. And there's a lot of positivity right now. And getting these 2 signings in as quickly as possible is just going to, make sort of the fire bigger, the fire of positivity. It'll keep the good feeling around, which is, it's one of INOS's responsibilities. All right, we're in a good space. People are happy. People are excited. People are hopeful. And people are being positive right now. It's one of INOS's responsibility to, don't do like what we've done in the past where we, we're in a good space and we suck all the positivity out of the room by being lethargic or being unambitious, or being, not proactive. There's a chance to capitalize on top of this. So, you sign these 2 guys, we're moving quick. Majority of people will be happy with them. And, we're already looking good. We're already in a good shape. We signed 2 midfielders before the World Cup even starts. That's 2 out of the 3. And then, we got, what, 3 or 4 signings possibly left that we could do throughout the summer. So, Malacia was kicked out already. Well, he wasn't kicked out. Malacia is done. I mean, his contract is up. Not kicked out. His contract is up. He's played his last game. He's not getting a contract extension. So he's done. Like there's no kicking out. It's just that's it. It's over. Like we played the last game of the season. The season's over. We're not going to see him again. That's it. He's a free agent. He could go where he needs to go, or where he pleases, and yeah. Eric, I'm looking to get 2 players in and selling Xerxes, Everton, Roma, 31.2 million, working Sandro Tonali. Well, listen, I don't know if we'll get Sandro Tonali, but we'll wait and see. I don't know. The big one's going to be a bit of a game. So I think as it stands right now, we're going to try, obviously, to go for Elliot Anderson. And I think depending on what happens with Elliot Anderson, if he ends up choosing to go to City, we may see us then flip to try and go to Sandro Tonali. I think that's how it's going to stand right now. I think we're still pushing more for Elliot Anderson than we are pushing for Tonali. at this current moment in time. But if we lose Elliot Anderson, that's one option off the table. We'll then have to shift maybe to Tonali. But then obviously it matters how much money Newcastle stand firm on if we're going to do such a thing. I am disappointed with those two signings. Looks like the second or third tier option. I gave them brilliant transfer list. What are they doing? What are you talking about? You're giving us a list of 4 midfielders. We don't even need to sign 4 midfielders. So, and they're not. Mateus Fernandez. I think we've talked about this. Like we're doing. It's a tiered buying. We're buying one big player that's going to cost us a lot of money. We're buying an experienced player in Ederson who's 26, who's a good option, who is literally replacing Ugarte, who is going to give us more than Ugarte could ever give us. So right there, we've upgraded. Ederson is an upgrade on Ugarte. We've upgraded there. Mateus Fernandez is a young, good potential player, 21 years of age, and is ready to take the next step. And then we're going to get him for a good fee. I think we're right on track right now to do exactly what we need to do. Bruno Fernandez was given another award, the 2025-26 Coca-Cola Playmaker Award. So he's gotten a lot of awards this season. A lot of rewards this season. In a season where we've actually won nothing. Here, Bruno Fernandez had this statement. Interesting. Because it echoes what I've been saying for months. Well, over months, over a year. Bruno Fernandez said, "We need stability." And you know how serene Carrick is. He instills his calm in the team, but he knows how to put pressure on us when needed. He knows the club, what it represents and what it demands. We're very enthusiastic for what's next. And I think that first line is the most important thing. And I'm glad the captain of the team is saying it and has said it publicly, because that is, to me, the number one or number two sort of key thing that we need. We obviously need a good transfer window, but we need stability. And probably the transfer window goes first, because I think the transfer window would help with the stability. But the stability, that's my key sort of thing going forward on from this season. We need consistency. We need stability. Those are the two things for me. If we're going to get to where we want to be, we're going to need that. We need consistency and stability next season. We cannot finish third and end up in 7th place next season. We cannot. If we do, yeah, it makes everything tougher. It makes everything worse. We have to stop the yo-yoing if we're going to move forward. We essentially, we can't take one step forward and 2 steps back, which we've done many a times. So, at some point, if we're going to accomplish anything, we need to sort that out, cut that out, so we can actually progress forward. So, you trust me? Well, listen, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed going to work. I think it's good enough. I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to, but I think off the top of my head, we get 3 guys in. I think Edison is definitely an upgrade on Ugarte. And I always kind of said if we get 3 midfielders, the third one, which I would say would be Mateus Fernandez, you could put somebody else in there. It could have been Stiller, it could have been, whatever. But I think the fact that we're getting Ederson, you're not going to get like a Stiller because they've made it quite clear that they want to have 2 Premier League proven players or Premier League experienced players. I don't really like Premier League proven, Premier League experienced players. And that's going to be at least Mateus Fernandez. He's played at West Ham and we've seen him. We know he can handle the league. He can play in the league. He's done so in a shitty West Ham team that just got relegated, but he is a good player. And then obviously the other one, Elliot Anderson or Tonali, hopefully one of the two. If not, then it'll have to go down to maybe Baleba or something. But I do agree with that. I think you're getting 3 players for the midfield. I think 2 should definitely be Premier League experienced players. The other one can be a player from outside of the Premier League. It doesn't have to be another Premier League player, which seems like it's going to be Ederson. So with Ederson coming, I don't think you'll see really Stiller is gone and done. He won't be coming. Unless we lose a ton of targets and we really go down, 5th, 6th choice. And then some of these other guys, I don't really buy into 100% the story of Tchouaméni. Still, so I don't really buy into it. I don't know if Real Madrid are actually going to get rid of him. I still don't think him personally wants to leave Real Madrid. So in that case, it's really up to Real Madrid if they want to get rid of him. I don't really think they kind of don't want to. I think they're a bit reluctant because I think they do rate him. They'd rather keep him and fix all the problems. And, again, he's sort of a high-profile player, and Real Madrid is a high-profile club, and we are also a high-profile club. So I don't really see that happening. I don't really see it happening. It could happen, and it could get more real, but I kind of feel like it's not that likely as it stands. So I don't really count him as an actual target as it stands. Because I think it's a lot of paper talk. And I think it's being I think it's being blown out of proportion a little bit because of the problems at Real Madrid. And I think the media, the journalists, are making more of a meal out of it than maybe it actually is in a real life scenario. And I could literally see a scenario where he's still at Real Madrid next season and he hasn't gone anywhere. Well, listen, I think it was decently like a good Premier League. I like the fact that Sunderland have finished where they finished. 7th in Europa League in their first season back is really good. And it's a nice change from what was happening in the league a few seasons ago where 3 teams come up and the same 3 teams go down. And it's nice to see like a team like Sunderland that, their first season up and they did amazingly well. So, a little bit away from United and more in general. I mean, they not only did they stay up, but they've performed exceptionally well. And I like that sort of thing. It adds to the league. It makes the league better. So I like that they not only did they stay up, but they had a really good season. They cemented themselves into a Premier League team. And I welcome that because it just makes the league better. Sunderland isn't a team like they're going to be here next season. They're going to be in the Europa League. It'll be a tough season for them, but I like it. We got to go play them. It's a match that's like going to be when we have to play them twice. It's actually a match where like, you're going to be interested in watching it. It's not just going to be like, oh, they're shit. This should be 3 points. They play boring. Like, they play good football and they're a good team. So at least let us lie about that to downgrade the price of Anderson. 120 million pounds for a package of Camavinga and Tchouaméni. No. I don't think either one of them is going to leave. Bruno Fernandes did speak on Johnny Evans and said that Johnny believed in that set piece more than I did. I did. The one we'd prepared for Patrick because I wasn't sure he could score with his head. And I did say this at the top of the show though, like we did get better. We changed the set piece coach. I think it was under Eric Ten Hag. We were still kind of a bit shit. And then we did get better in set pieces to a certain degree with Ruben, with Ruben's guy. But he left with Ruben and Johnny picked it up. And I would go as far as to make an argument that I think Johnny even took it a level above. So, for all the people that are like, well, he's not qualified and, what CV does he have to be doing this role? And he was a loan manager, but I don't know. He's doing the job, so I can't really complain. I can't really hate. Sometimes, he doesn't have it on paper. He doesn't have the experience per se, but, listen, he was a center back. He does know what it takes to defend corners, and so he should technically probably know how to expose corners, considering that he is or was a center back. So, maybe it just happens to work. It seems like it's working. So, he's going to be here. The whole coaching staff is saying, and they're continuing on. And so, listen, I can't, in my opinion, can't really complain. If it ain't, it's not broken, and it's working. So, can't really complain whether he has the CV or not. He's getting things done as it stands right now. We're scoring set pieces and we're scoring from corners. So, oh my God, I just seen Arteta with the picture of the trophy. Looks absolutely disgusting. I might just throw up. I didn't even care. I don't even really care that Arsenal won it, but the fact that he gets to hold the trophy, because I hate that guy. He's so cringe. He's such a cringe guy. I mean, somebody's making a point here. You think, I was kind of saying we've moved away a little bit from being a one-man team, but, and I think we have to a certain degree, but I don't think that's totally the case. But listen, there's always a catalyst in teams. Yeah, so it's a bit hard to say because I mean, really, like if you put it in this perspective, if we had sold Bruno, okay? I mean, we don't know how the money would have necessarily been used. So we don't know what other players we would have. So, it's sort of like a butterfly effect. Maybe, things would have gone totally in a, different way. Maybe we would have still accomplished what we accomplished, whatever, in a different way. But I mean, if he didn't have, like, let's just put it this way. If you took Bruno out of the team and we didn't replace him with anybody, Ruben definitely would have got sacked by like October. And Carrick probably wouldn't have got the job. So, but I don't really, I wouldn't really say that we're still a one man team because I think we've moved away from that a bit. Um, I just sort of think like, yes, we rely on him heavily. He's a big player. He has a huge impact. Um, but we have been able to create and score goals at the very least. Um, without him directly involved sometimes. So, and I think before we weren't able to do that at all. And I think more so on the part of it was like if Bruno wasn't scoring the goals, then we weren't able to score goals as a team. Whereas now we can score goals. He doesn't have to score them. The other players can score them. But it's I don't know. I mean, there's always like that. There's always at least one big main player. So I don't want to say that we're really still sort of a one man team in a certain aspect. He's a very very important player, our most important player. But all teams generally usually have the one guy. You know what I mean? Like Ronaldo was that guy, and Messi was that guy, and there's other examples of that in other places. I do think that the levels have increased though around him. So it's a lot closer where the gap used to be a lot bigger. On another note though, goodbye Pep. We won't miss you. I don't care what happens to you in your future career. We'll never have to see you again in the Premier League. I thought this day would never come. I'm so happy that I don't have to see that guy anymore. And now we get to see what happens to Manchester City, which is going to be interesting. Because I think quite obviously they hit the jackpot by getting Pep Guardiola and then having an unlimited amount of money of a checkbook and breaking the rules and you know basically fixing the finances so they can spend more money than they actually earned, which would have allowed them to they wouldn't have been able to spend as much money. But now because you're talking about he's probably or has been the best manager in the world for quite some time now. Um, there's Luis Enrique. What I would hate is if Manchester City end up going and getting Luis Enrique at some point. I don't think it's not gonna happen this season. It seems like I'm pretty sure Enzo Maresca's taking it, but Enzo Maresca could get the sack within a year, and they could go for maybe Luis Enrique. And Luis Enrique, in my opinion, is probably if Pep's not managing, Luis Enrique is the best manager in the world. Next up. I think he's doing the best job. So, yeah, we don't want that per se, but it will be interesting because other than that, I mean, listen, Maresca, I think he was doing a good job at Chelsea. I think he's a good manager, but he's more on a regular playing field. Pep is has been above the rest for quite a long time. So now City's gonna have a manager that's more on a level playing field with everybody else. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there with that. Arnie Slot will probably get sacked next season. Well, I think so. He survived it, but We got another breaking news here. He just placed the slots machine. Yeah, he's gonna go bankrupt. Manchester United have closely monitored Jonathan Rowe for months, with Bologna expecting summer interest. The striker is valued at 40 million euros and tied down until 2029. The one thing I will say is I kind of do want to stay a little bit away from the Serie A signing. This is the one thing that I don't really like that we're kind of doing. I mean, listen, if they fit the profile, I guess we could get away with it. We haven't had the best record from there. I just don't like the angle of the Serie A players coming to play for us in the Premier League, because I think the football is so different, and I think the Premier League is just, it's so much faster and so much stronger that it leaves such a bigger gap for the player to come to us to actually, be good. And I don't really know much about this guy, but to be fair, I mean, apparently he is English. So he's English. Jonathan Rowe. He's English, and he is 23 years old, but he is playing for Bologna. Okay. Now I don't know. Apparently he's played 2 matches. No, that's the Super Copa Italia. Let me see. He's played 28 appearances in the Serie A this season of a possible 37 games, and he has 3 goals and 3 assists. And for me, like something like that, and well, apparently he's not a striker. Apparently he's a left winger, it's saying here. So he's not a striker. But the update that we got said that he's a striker. He's not a striker, he's a winger. As I can see here, he plays left wing, he can play right wing, and he can play attacking midfielder. 23 years of age, but 3 goals and 3 assists as a winger. I mean, isn't really great. And also, I mean, Bologna signed him for 17 million euros this season. Or last season. No, this season. So, we're going to pay 40 million euros now for a guy that has 3 goals, 3 assists in the Serie A. That I don't really think is such a good idea. I don't think that that's a good idea. But this is coming from Corriere dello Sport, so I don't know, first mention of it. So, but yeah, listen, I think oh shit, Antonio Conte is leaving Napoli, which is interesting. I was not expecting Antonio Conte to leave Napoli. I thought he would continue. So Antonio Conte leaves Napoli, as reported earlier this week. This is from Fabrizio. There's a lot of big things are happening, man. Conte is out. Pep is leaving. Interesting stuff going on. I wonder what that means. I wonder where he's going to go. Does he go back to Chelsea? Chelsea need a manager. Chelsea need a manager. I wonder where Conte is going to go. It's a big name. It's a big name. Carrick says we want to play exciting football. Of course, we want to win matches, but we have to do it in a certain way. We've worked on it these last few months, but we still need to progress. These players want to do well, and that's encouraging. We do need to still progress. Chelsea with Xabi Alonso are scary. I don't know. They'll be scary if they actually do something. I ain't gonna be scared until I actually see something materialize. I don't. You could get Xabi Alonso, you could get Xavi, you could get whoever you want. Until I see the manager come in there, put the team together, and I see them actually performing on the pitch, I'm not gonna be scared of nothing. Those guys are a disaster. They are self-saboteurs. You won the Club World Cup. You had a guy like Enzo Maresca. Okay, maybe he forced his hand because he knew Pep was leaving, so he wanted to get sacked so he could go take over Manchester City. But he could have taken over Manchester City anyway. They sacked him. They bring in another guy. He got sacked. They bring in this guy. They finished in 10th. And they're not in Europe. So, you know, they're a bit of a disaster, aren't they? They got a lot of work they got to do. Other breaking news. Manchester United have inquired about Sporting CB defender Maxi Araujo as they look to solve their left-back issues. United have tracked him for months, with Sporting demanding his 70 million release clause, of course, as they always do. I don't know about paying 70 million pounds for a left back. You know, there's some fees being quoted around here that listen, the math doesn't math up. It doesn't add up. There's no way we can make all these signings for this amount of money. It just can't happen. I mean, I tell you, literally at the most amount of money that we could possibly spend is 300 million, and I don't think we're going to do 300 million. And so I think literally the highest that we can do is probably 250 million, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do a little bit less than that. So I don't see how we spend about 65 to 70 million on 2 central midfielders, plus another 80 to 90 on another central midfielder, which is going to bring us to around 160 million. And then we need to sign probably at least another 2 positions, if not 3, with about 100 million left. I don't see where the room is to really do a signing. If we do the big signing in the central midfield for 80 to 90 million, whatever it may be, I don't see how we possibly manage to pull off another signing for 70 million plus. I don't see how we could possibly do that without sacrificing one of the other positions. We could do it if we sacrifice one of the other positions, because that means that we'll have to go cheap in one of the other positions. But if you want pretty good quality or good quality signings in all of the positions that we're looking and that we need to sign, I don't see how we do that. Because I don't think we'll have the money. We won't have the money to do such a thing. Because you're going to have to pay at least 50 to 60 million for each guy. Which I think puts us over the money that we can actually spend. So, yeah, whether it's this guy, Maxi Araujo, or it's Morgan Rogers for 80 million, or it's Diomande for 100 million, I don't see how we do those deals. I don't see how that actually happens. Without them sacrificing, and I don't think that they're necessarily looking to do such a thing right now, because that would mean, like, for example, like if we sign a winger for like 80 million or 70 million, that means like the left back that we sign has to be like 30 million. Whereas maybe we could sign a left back for 40, 50 million. Or vice versa. I mean, if we sign a left back 60, 70 million, well, then we're not going to sign a winger for 70, 80 million. We're going to have to sign a winger for 40 million. Axe says he's selling his toenails for 70 million pounds also. Well, nobody wants those for sure. Put them up on eBay. Maybe somebody will buy them. You never know. Simon's here says, good evening. What a way to end the season. We beat our bogey team. No Welbeck goal. Bruno breaks assist record and becomes player of the season. Yep. And, you know, couldn't have gone a better way, Simon. I did say yesterday, I got it wrong, because I said Cunha and Casemiro will score, and neither one of them played. So that was, you know, out the window immediately. But I did say that Welbeck won't score. I did say that we would win 2-1, though. We won 3-0. So I wasn't really expecting a clean sheet. I was kind of expecting Brighton to give us a problem. You know, in the game. At least a little bit of a fight. Make it interesting. But they were quite poor. And we were quite good. And we kept a clean sheet on the last day of the season. Bruno got his assist record, as you said. Player of the season, as he should be. As we expect him to be. And we got 3 points. You know? Bruno Fernandes has created 136 chances in the Premier League this season, the best total for a player in the 5 major European leagues since Kevin De Bruyne in 2019-2020, who also created 136 chances. So, but you know, it's funny because like we have to make all the noise for our player who is quite clearly the best midfielder currently. You know, like nobody is doing the things that he's doing, and nobody's doing the things that he's done this season. It's, you know, it's not bias, it's a fact. There is no midfielder that has done what he's done this season. He is, at least for this season, 110% in a league of his own. Like there's nobody's even coming close to what he's done. But I remember specifically when De Bruyne was doing what he did when he tied Henry with the assist record, and when he had these you know, 136 chances created, the media, Sky Sports specifically, and the rest of them lived so far up De Bruyne's ass. But I guess they don't want to live up Bruno's ass. Probably because he's a Manchester United player. You know, but the way they spoke about De Bruyne was like the second coming of God. And Bruno has done one better than him and has matched him in other parts, but they won't talk about him the way they do. And I know that because they're not doing it now. So they haven't been doing so. You know, they haven't been doing so throughout the season. I think I give credit to Thierry Henry for being one of the few. You know, that's an Arsenal legend. Played against us in the height of the rivalry. He's one of the only ones, really, that has, I think, properly given him his flowers, properly. The rest of them sort of just glazing over it, don't really want to talk about it, don't really want to give him the credit, again, because it's Bruno, and he's a Manchester United player. If Bruno was at Liverpool or he was at Manchester City and he just did what he did for us, for them, you wouldn't be able to fucking go anywhere without hearing it. You know, they'd be glazing him like no tomorrow, but they don't want to glaze Bruno because, again, Spurs ruined my bit of fun by staying up. I could think of 2 songs for West Ham: Leeds, Forever, Bursting Bubbles, and Down Down. Now that West Ham are down, this will give us a chance to sign Fernandez, yes. They already stated, Simon, that so West Ham need to apparently, this is coming from a West Ham source that works for The Athletic. They're saying that West Ham needs to raise 150 million pounds in player transfers. Mateus Fernandez is one of a bunch of players that are now officially pushing to leave the club. Apparently, Mateus Fernandez has given the green light to Manchester United, and that he has apparently given us priority in that he wants to come to us. And, we should be able to get him on a reduced price as well. I mean, I think if West Ham stay, to get him, you're talking about 60 million pounds, most likely. And then around that fee, with them getting relegated, I think we could get him for about 40. Maybe 45. So, I wonder if Chelsea have missed out on European football. They have. Chelsea have missed out on European football. If I'm not mistaken, I'll double check. Chelsea have finished in 10th. So they are 110% not in European football. It's Garnacho's level, where he belongs. The grass is not always greener on the other side. And I think he's learned that the hard way. And can't say I feel sorry for him, though. Again, I'll support you. And I'll give you every opportunity you can. If you are a player from my club, I'll always give you every opportunity, and there's always a room for redemption. You can be absolutely shit, but if you come back and you put in the work and you turn things around, I'm always willing to have the door open for you. But once you do certain types of things at my football club, you cross my philosophical line, you're done to me. He crossed that line. Marcus Rashford, I can never forgive him for watching him walk on the pitch in the middle of a game while a guy that's literally 2 centimeters away from him is dribbling with the ball. That to me is unacceptable. You can never come back from that. Jadon Sancho, what he did, don't care if he was right or wrong. Totally unacceptable. Can never be redeemed from that. So, like, that type of thing, you can never come back from me. You can never come back from it. Once you do something like that, it's you're irredeemable. But somebody like Harry Maguire, who was shit for his first 3 seasons, okay, but he's never done things like that, okay, and he's made a comeback. He's a redeemable guy. You can have a shit season. You can be a shit player. It's one thing to be shit and to be it's one thing to be shit and then be a piece of shit. It's another thing to be shit and be a decent player in terms of attitude and mentality. So, and actions. Sebastian's here. What's up? Good start to properly for Carrick's tenure now. Let's build on this. Yep, this is the big job that we're at. Simon says we are all laughing at Spurs. Now let's poke fun at Chelsea. Well, Chelsea definitely. Because they won the Club World Cup and they were talking a lot of they were talking a big game and it's ended very badly for them. So Everton never really put in any fight. Yeah, I mean it was a bit disappointing, wasn't it? They had a big result and a big performance. In the last think it was like the last 1 or 2 matches. So I was thinking maybe they could do something, give Tottenham a tough time, score a goal, make it interesting. But they never really did anything. Rashi is now a man without a team after Barca win the league. Well, we'll see how it goes. How am I? I'm good. How are you? You liked Mount today? Yeah, I mean, listen, he was all right. It was part of that goal, and that was good play. And I like that. I don't know how I necessarily feel, about him playing centrally next to Kobe. I don't think it's a bad option. It's definitely one that can't be. Well, it's not going to be a starting option, is it? For me, Mason Mount is. I have no problems with Mason Mount staying at the club. He just needs to stay fit. Mason Mount for me, I'm not one of these people that say we have to throw him out because they don't rate him, whatever. I think he is a player that I would view him as, if he can stay fit, he is a player that I would consider a very good squad player to have, which I think is important. Obviously, his biggest issue is staying fit. But if he's able to stay fit, I don't have a problem with Mason Mount. I don't think he's a horrible player. I don't think he's as good as Bruno. But I would say he's a very usable player. And a player that we could sort of rely on in some certain sense throughout the season. His biggest thing, for me, it's not his ability. It's not his talent. It's his fitness is the issue. So, I do kind of like the way he plays the game. And when he's on there, he does tend to have, some sort of an impact on the pitch. That's never been really the issue for me. I don't, some people, they say he's shit and they don't rate him. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that. It's his fitness. It's his availability. So I don't know if he's going to overcome that. I don't feel like he will. But I think we're also in a position where we're kind of a bit stuck with him, at this moment in time. So I think if anything's going to happen to Mason Mount, it would have to be at the end of next season. Because I would say, for how long can you try to get a guy that's pretty injury prone? How long can you try to get him to not be injury prone, and then him, doing his thing that he normally gets injured and he's gone for a month or two, comes back, he barely plays, or he gets injured again and he's gone again. You can only do that so many times. This will be the third time that we are going to try to get him to be available for the majority of the season at the very least. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, listen, injuries happen in football. A lot of players get them. It's, it happens here and there. But, the goal for Mason Mount would be available for 75% of the season. He's not doing that. Or he hasn't done that. So, I mean, if we can't get him to do that next season, then, somehow, some way, we'll have to figure out how to move him on. But, good to see Dorgu back on his scoring best. Yep. By the way, that's 3 goals for Dorgu in 3 starts. And that's starting at left wing, because that's where he's starting. So, 3 times he started, and those 3 times he started in left wing, and he scored 3 goals. Now, that one obviously came from a corner set piece, but still. Maguire can now relax. He has no more football to play until preseason. Yeah, and listen, I think that's a bit unfortunate for Maguire. I was a bit surprised by that. I kind of felt like, he would get in there, but he hasn't. And, that I feel a bit bad for him, because I don't think he'll make it to another World Cup. So this is probably was his last one. And he hasn't gotten picked, so I feel a bit sad for him in that case. With that being the scenario, because it's not like, don't worry, Harry, you'll make the next one. There is no next one for him. He's gonna be way too old. So maybe he'll make a Euro, maybe, but that's a bit of a stretch as well. But I feel a bit bad for him in that case. But when it comes to Manchester United, I think that could be a bit of a silver lining. Get some rest, like you said, Simon, and be part of the preseason and be ready to go. Because if he went with England, he'll be one of those players that they're gonna come back late. They're probably not going to be involved right away because they're going to need a bit of an extended break coming out of the World Cup. And we're going to be like going into the season. So, at least this way, Harry Maguire will be with us, ready to go. Fresh, not needing a rest. He is a bit up there in age. So, it's a little bit less wear and tear on his body, not playing all those extra matches and minutes. And then we'll have to manage it because obviously we're gonna have the likes of Bruno, Cunha, etc. Like these guys are all going to play for the World Cup when they come back at some point. Like especially if their teams go far into the competition, we'll probably be in preseason. They won't feature for a good two weeks or so. Bruno has been classed as the best player of the season. He should be. The BBC showed Arsenal getting ready to raise the trophy. It quickly changed the stations before it made me sick. Yeah, unfortunately, I saw a picture of Arteta lifting the trophy. I mean, I don't really care for Arsenal winning it. It doesn't really bother me. I don't really care. It's their first one in some 20-something years. They're still like a little brother club to me. It's more so that just Arteta is super cringe, and it's just it's a bit disgusting to see him hold that Premier League title. I mean, they could have gave it to somebody that actually has some sort of aura. You know what I mean? If they had a different manager. But yeah. Season over, time to get months out of our the months out of our wallet, dust over our credit card, and let's go shopping and chopping. Somehow, I have the oddest feeling that before the new season, Shaw will get some sort of an injury away from football. Well, I don't know. Listen, he was the only player this season to play all of our matches. So I don't know. Maybe he's turned a new leaf. It would be an extraordinary sort of medical phenomenon. If that's the case, it should be studied by the highest medical institutions in the world, because for a guy that's never completed a season in his entire career for us, and he's been here for like over 10 seasons now, I believe. For him to come out of this season and be the only player that played every single match out of all the players we have, and he did it. I don't know what the hell is going to happen next season. He could go right back to being injured again, or maybe he's turned a new leaf, and maybe that doesn't happen to him, and maybe he's actually around for at least like 80-90% of the season next season. And we actually see him and he plays a big role. I don't know, anymore. I think there is a bit of a concern, obviously, the fact that we're going to be playing more matches. I'm a bit concerned by that. I do think that there's probably a good chance that that leads him to getting injured again. And that is sort of the one anomaly, in that we've played the least amount of matches this season, and this is the season that he doesn't get injured. There was also a World Cup to play for, so he doesn't have that. He hasn't gotten picked, and I can't believe Sunderland are in Europe. Well, it's a great story. I'm glad that they are. City have taken the crown from Arsenal as bottlers. It's annoyed the paramedics because they haven't taken their favorite patient away. It's time Shaw had a testimonial. Well, not yet. Shaw will have a testimonial when he retires, right? Or before he retires. Let's see. Any other news? Pretty much. Edison deal is close. Mateus Fernandez pending in the background. Probably going to ramp up. I'm sure by tomorrow, when we go live at 8:15 p.m. UK time, when we usually do, I'm sure by tomorrow, the Mateus Fernandez story will be even bigger. So, William Saliba said that it's not the last one. I tell you what, William Saliba, yes, it is. Let's see more of the youngsters next season. We need the youth. Also, we need to buy the youngsters like Yamal. We're not buying Yamal. Stop saying it. We're not buying Yamal. We will probably buy youth as we usually have been doing. Especially under INOS. They've been buying a lot of youth. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with the youth. I'm gonna tell you right now, like, people are not criticizing. Let's put it this way. I mean, Carrick's been going and he's been watching them. Okay? Ruben wasn't doing that, and he was sending his like assistant to do it. But Carrick's been going to all the games for the youth team, but they haven't really gotten really. It doesn't look like any of them are really on the cusp. You know, Shea Lacey got in the team today, and Tyler Fletcher got on the pitch, but that's it. I mean, for the last game of the season, that doesn't count really for anything. And there was a couple players there, like Tyrell Malacia. There's no future in him. Ugarte is gone, and there's no future in him. You could have had Tyler and Jack. You could have had, I don't know, somebody else, and bring them onto the bench. He didn't do that. He bring up only two, and he gave them each about 30 minutes. So I don't really know what the plan is for the youth. Now, maybe next season, because there's more games and we need a bigger squad, maybe that will develop into opportunities and they'll go forward with that plan. But, I don't really know. I mean, Carrick hasn't really been calling up the youth like people were once demanding Ruben Amorim to do. So, I don't really know what the plan is with the youth. I expect a bunch of them to go out on loan, as probably a lot of them should be. If they're not ready and they're not going to get opportunities, there's no point in them sitting around at our club. They should go out on loan and go play. But obviously, like, Harry Almos is one to watch because he was on loan. Cheeto will be another one because is he going to go up? Or is he going to get loaned out? Shea Lacey is another one. Is he going to stay or is he going to get loaned out? But I don't know what's going to happen with them. What if they win the UCL? Well, we're fucked if they win the UCL. I don't know what you're saying. Malacia was kicked out already. What do you mean kicked out? Kicked out from where? He's not coming back. Like, but I don't understand what you're saying. His contract is expired. He's played the last match. The season is over. What? How is he kicked out? Why didn't we start Heaven? I don't know. You know, that's what I'm saying. Beats me. I can't tell you. I don't know. We didn't start Heaven. He subbed in Euro in at right back for Mazawari. There was no Delo. So, you know, I don't know. People want youth and they ask for youth. I'm not getting a strong indication that the youth are going to play a heavy role next season in any form right now. I don't really have that feeling. I think, you know, he's got his favorites already. He's gone with the strongest team. You know, maybe they get a couple opportunities in the Carabao Cup. I don't even think we'll see that. Because I think next season, I think Carrick's going to try and go. And he's going to try and want to win the Carabao, win the FA Cup. But I think he's going to play as strong as teams as possible. I don't see these kids getting many opportunities. So I don't know, you know. I would probably lean back to what I originally said in that people want the youth and they demand the youth, but they're not willing to accept that the youth are probably not at that level and they're not ready. And they need more development and they need more time. You know, I said this a couple times, like, you know, people complained about the youth under Ten Hag. They complained about the youth under Ruben Amorim. They're not complaining about the youth under Michael Carrick yet, because he's only been here since January, and it's Michael Carrick. But you have three managers that they're not really pushing any of the youth. I mean, I don't know, you know, when does the story become it's not the manager, it's the youth players? And people start questioning, well, you know, maybe they're not as good as we're hyping them up to be. They're not as ready as we're saying that we think they are. I bet Sesko wish he could have played, but we managed to keep Ugarte away. Any news on Collier? Nope. I expect him to be sold. So I heard that Onana picked up some award, knowing him, he'd probably dropped it. I need to find out what award it was. Their brutality of their treatment didn't even take him back on the bus. They didn't leave him. Chelsea, by the way, spent 150 million on 3 players, and those 3 players ended the season with 2 goals combined, 2 league goals combined. By the way, so you know how bad that is. Well, so Enzo Fernandez may potentially leave Chelsea here. I'm seeing something that he sort of did like a sort of a goodbye to the Chelsea fans, and he has been linked with Manchester City. So there is a possibility that Manchester City sign Enzo Fernandez, which if they sign Enzo Fernandez, they might not sign Elliot Anderson. They could sign both, maybe. I mean, they probably have the funds to do such a thing, but I don't know how many midfielders they exactly want or slash need. So I mean, it could give us maybe a boost. I mean, if they go and sign Enzo Fernandez, I think at least the hype will be that they won't go for Elliot Anderson, which would leave us maybe in pole position. So I don't, we gotta we gotta we gotta see how that one goes. Yeah, but not Enzo Fernandez, Mateus Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez, if he's going anywhere, he's going to either Madrid or he's going to City. So, all right, but listen, I'm gonna get out of here. Okay. It's been a good season for the most part. It's been interesting. No more Red Devil recaps till next season. So this is the last one. We will be live tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. and going forward, we will try to be live as much as possible throughout the days because it's going to be, it's transfer season now. So there's going to be crazy updates and stories and news every single day. We're going to try and keep up with it as much as possible, as much as my schedule permits me to do so. But right now it is right now my schedule is clear. So Monday we're definitely doing a show at our regular time. Tuesday we'll definitely be doing a regular show with all the transfer updates going forward. And I expect the rest of the week to be fairly open unless it changes, but I can't tell you that now because I can't predict the future. But yeah, we're ready to go. So it's the it's the transfer hype season now, and this one is always there's always a lot to talk about. There's always a lot of twists and turns. It's always an exciting season, exciting part of the season, I guess. You could say it's part of the season. So I'm excited and ready to go. And this one I'll be around for a lot more because I ain't going on vacation till later in July. So from now, throughout the World Cup and throughout most of the transfer window, I'll be more around than I have been in the past year or two, for sure. Axe says it's been a horrible season. I disagree. Simon says, great stream. Are you doing a watch along for the 2 upcoming European finals? Probably not. Probably not. I maybe I'll do one for the Champions League. I ain't gonna do one for the other one though. But maybe I do one for the Champions League. It depends. I might go watch it with a couple of friends. So, we'll see though. We have a little bit of time before that match gets played. Yeah, so we'll figure that out. Yeah, he's saying it's a horrible season because he demands the Premier League and. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have the good weather over there right now. We have you have a bank holiday. We have our own bank holiday, but ours is just it's called Memorial Day. I don't know what yours is, but you guys have the good weather right now. I seen that it's nice and sunny and hot over there. It's raining and it's cold here. So, and it's going to be raining for the next like 2-3 days as well. So, it was nice, hot and sunny over here for about a week, and now it's gone backwards. So, unfortunately, but listen, Champions League. I wouldn't say Champions League is a trophy, but we put it into context as this: we finished 15th last season. Before we started the season, third was basically impossible to do. Nobody gave us a chance at doing third. Not even our own fans gave us a chance at doing third. We said fifth. We're going to struggle. It's going to be a fight. Top 4 is going to be hard. We finished third. We got Champions League. So, in the context of the overall thing, the way it was going, the fact that we sacked the manager in the middle of the season, the fact that we got another one in, and he was quite unproven, and we managed to finish third, and we got Champions League, and we're back in that competition. And, from January on, we played exceptionally well. We performed exceptionally well. It couldn't have gone much better. other than the fact of obviously we got knocked out of the FA Cup when we got knocked out of the FA Cup and we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Those are the only two aspects that we could have done better. But in terms of the Premier League itself, we couldn't have done better. Coming off of where we were. So, good season in the Prem. Good season in the Prem. Not the best, not the most amazing, but it's a good season in the Prem. Having a heat wave. Yeah, we have to win it again, which we didn't this year. I'm gonna give you a little insight. Not winning it next season either. Just so you know. Just so you know, my friend. We're not winning it next season either. So be prepared. And we're not winning it the season after that either. But maybe the season after that season, we'll win it. You say we have to, but we're not going to. So, we're not going to. You need patience, bro. Again, you got to trust the process. You're skipping steps in the process. You're skipping steps. You're trying to go from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain without climbing the mountain. Can't do it. Can't do it. 52 years. That's a long time, man. One day we will. One day we will again. That's how life works. We will one day again do so. Things change. Errors come and go. We will one day. But, yeah, next season, no. I mean, listen, there's always a odd chance that we do something absolutely marvelous and, crazy. Okay? Like, Leicester won the league that one season. Like, a miracle can happen, some crazy shit, but using all logic and looking what we are and where we are, we're not ready to win the Premier League next season. We're not ready. Next season we need next season is a stabilization season. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. Next season is not a season to go and challenge for the Premier League in terms of actually going on to winning it. The next season is a stabilization season. We must finish in the top 4 again. We must finish in Champions League again. And we got to do our very best in Champions League. Stage. We got to get out of that. We got to get out of that table, and at least try and win 1 or 2 rounds. After that. Patience and virtue, good things come to those who wait. That's what they say. Those who catch fly with chopsticks accomplish everything. Listen, if you could catch a fly with chopsticks, we need you to, I don't know, you got an exceptionally well skill set. I don't know where you belong if you could do such a thing, but you belong somewhere of some sort of importance if you could do that. All right, but listen, I'm out of here, okay? Everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Stay safe, be good. GGMU, happy with the win. We'll be back tomorrow discussing the transfer news. It's gonna be flying from here on out. So, they're chilling a little bit. They gave us a little bit after the match, but they're chilling a little bit. I know these guys. I know how they operate. You know what I mean? They gave us just a tiny bit. Tomorrow they're gonna come with a bombardment of updates because the season's over. So they're gonna have to, keep it flowing and stuff like that. And now the heat should start turning up. So Everybody be good. Top fans today. Axe is number 1. Lyle number 2. And Simon number 3. From the YouTube spot. So thank you. Thank you everybody that smashed the like button. Greatly appreciated. Thank you to anybody that's new, that subscribed. Everybody have a excellent day. We'll see each other tomorrow if you're around. If not, we'll be pretty much live every day going forward, at least for the next week or so. You know, again, my schedule is not set in stone, so it changes from time to time. So right now I have a bit of an opening. Okay, that will 100% guarantee change at some point, and there will be weeks where, you know, I'll have to go MIA again, due to a lack of time, but I will try my best. Something that I will possibly try and do is if we get to a week where I'm unable to stream live and do live shows for a good part of the week, I might pre-record 1 or 2 videos, you know, on a certain player, transfer update. They'll be short, 10, 15, 20 minutes tops, and I'll put those out. So if I do that, you know, if you guys, I know they're not live, so they're not as fun, they're not as interactive, but if I do put those out, you guys could go support those. That'd be good too. So thanks for the season, thanks for the stream. Thank you guys. You know, appreciate it. You know, without you guys, it wouldn't be as fun and it wouldn't be as good. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you guys for being here throughout the season as well. Everybody showing the love and support and turning up. And to me, the biggest thing that matters the most is like, I'm always fairly appreciative. Like, I could not do a show for 6 days. I do one show and people are coming back to turn up, you know? So that goes a long way with me, because you know, sometimes I feel like I don't do a show for 5 or 6 days and it feels like I haven't done a show for 4 months. You know what I mean? And then I'm just like, oh, like people probably like just forget that like I exist, you know? That we're a thing, because we're not keeping in the flow like the other channels. You know, the big channels, they're doing 3 shows a day, 2 shows a day. They're there every day. You know, so it's they're pumping out a lot more content. And but you know, I don't do a show for a week. I come back, I do a show, and everybody pops up and everybody hits the like button and everybody gets involved in the comments like we were never away. So, you know, I appreciate you guys very much, you know. So thank you. We are one big united family. Exactly. That was always the main mission. So I'm glad. I am glad that's what we got going on. And listen, we've been doing, the views have been getting better as well, and it always is like this with the summer transfer window. It gets a lot more hyped, so I think the channel should grow a little bit more. Now, I mean, yesterday, very early, you know, we hit 1.2k views on that stream. So, you know, that's really where I'm trying to go. I mean, if I can consistently get close to 1,000 views a stream, you know, well, the channel will start flying, because it'll get put into the algorithm. The algorithm will start sending it, and then it goes on autopilot. So hopefully, you know, I was a bit surprised, because we've hit 1,000 plus a couple times randomly on shows. One time I remember it was like a João Neves update, and the other time it was on the transfer deadline day. I think it was about 2 summers ago. So, you know, there's every one moment. But yesterday was just like a regular day. It was just an update about Ederson, and we hit 1.2k viewers. So, you know, and the summer transfer window didn't even start. So, hopefully we keep those numbers up throughout the season, and our family will grow even bigger, which is what I want, because we already have a fantastic group. It's small, but I love the group that we have. You know, dedicated, lovely Manchester United fans. So if I could double, triple, quadruple the amount of people we have with the same type of people we have, but just more of you, we'll have one. It won't be the biggest channel, but we'll have one of the best channels. We'll have one of the best communities for sure. Apart from the World Cup, we have 3 months without football. It's going to drag. Yeah. But the World Cup will fill that gap. The World Cup will fill that gap. It'll keep us entertained. We have a little bit of a gap now, right? Then the World Cup starts. And then the World Cup will fill that gap. And once the World Cup is over, then, you know, the season's right around the corner. You know, we'll have the preseason games. And then before we know it, it'll be basically August, mid-August, August the 12th. And the season will be there again. And we'll be going. So, if you build it, they will come. I'm trying. It's not hard, man. It's not easy, man. It's a grind. But I'm enjoying the grind. I'm enjoying the grind. You know, I feel like there's been some things in my life that I probably gave up too easy on, you know, and you know, I feel like so far I've been doing this. There's been many moments where I probably could get quite discouraged about some things and maybe use that as an excuse to stop doing this, but I thoroughly enjoy having the conversations and, you know, so, and I enjoy the people that we have already in the community. So, you know, I'd say it's something that, we're just going to keep going and doing it. You know, but, yeah, we'll get there. I listen, I'm doing it the harder, natural way, but I like that aspect better. You're doing very well on here. Well done. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm trying. We could always do better for sure, but you know, it's not something that I feel like I need to rush. It's not something that I feel like I need to rush. There's a couple things we could do that we could probably make it faster. Clips and stuff like that. You know, I don't do any clips. It's a lot of time consuming. Unfortunately, right now, I'm in a place where, like, I don't have the time to be spending to do such a thing because I got to take care of some other things in my personal life that I need to make sure get taken care of first, you know, before I can devote any more time to other things. So it is what it is for now. But listen, we're still doing good progress here. So, but all right, that's enough of me waffling. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Again, it's been a good season. I've enjoyed it. It's been sort of the first season that we've had together that's gone I guess decently positive, I guess you could say, or positive. So, you know, I'm happy for that. And I've enjoyed being able to do the Red Devil recaps for large parts. I mean, well, specifically when Carrick came in mostly. I've enjoyed that second half of the season where we can be quite positive about our team and happy, and we celebrated it together, and you know, that's been a nice bit of a change. I don't really like all the negative parts that we lived through, watching terrible performances and getting bad results and being in bad positions and having to go and you know, deal with all the negativity. It's quite draining. So I'm happy that Carrick was able to get us into a positive place for the rest of the season, and we ended on a positive note. So hopefully, and last thing before we get out of here, hopefully our board, hopefully INOS, hopefully Wilcox and Vivel and Barada, don't suck all of that positivity out of the room. You got one job. Get the signings in. Set us up nicely for next season, and let's get going. So, but we'll see you all tomorrow. All right? Be good. Stay safe. We've got a new manager. Now let's back him. Yep, exactly. Let's go. We got an opportunity here. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be good.